Hello Newcastle Unitarians, I'm Paul Walker and it's great to be leading your worship again today. Delighted as well that I think this is the first day you're going to have live worship, but this is for those who want to see it, or those who, for very good reasons, maybe shielding or for safety, don't feel quite ready to attend worship yet. And so this is happening here. And it's great to be with you, as I said again. I'm here with my sons Wilf and Ollie. The theme I want to take today is desire, and the way that we think if we desire something, that if we get what we want, we're going to be happy. And so in a usual fashion, I'm going to begin. Crazy, these matches won't light, so I have to light the match with a lighter. And then Wilf is going to light our chalice. And as we focus our attention on that chalice, it is such a simple thing, a source of light. We miss so much light and so much hope by our befuddled attempt to clear away mess in order to grasp at what we want, and miss the simplicity of what we can have and what we already have, and the joy of simplicity. So let this chalice be for us all a reminder of the pleasure to be had in the simple things. So as I said, our theme is desire, and the boys are going to read a story for us. So Ollie, I think you're going to begin.
Once upon a time, there lived a king who, despite his luxurious lifestyle, was not happy at all. One day the king came upon a servant who was singing happily while he worked. This fascinated the king. Why was he, the supreme ruler of the land, unhappy and gloomy, while a lowly servant had so much joy? The king asked the servant, "Why are you so happy?" The man replied, "Your Majesty, I am nothing but a servant, but my family and I don't need too much, just a roof over our heads and a warm food to fill our tummies." The king sought the advice of his most trusted advisor. After hearing the story, the advisor said, "Your Majesty, the servant has not yet joined the 99 Club." "The 99 Club? And what is that?" the king inquired. The advisor replied, "To truly know what the 99 Club is, just place 99 gold coins in a bag and leave it at this servant's doorstep."
When the servant saw the bag, he let out a great shout of joy. So many gold coins! He began to count them. After several counts, he was at last convinced there were only 99 coins. He wondered what could have happened to that last gold coin. Surely no one would leave 99 coins. He looked everywhere, but that final coin was elusive. Finally, he decided that he was going to work harder than ever to earn that 100th gold coin. From that day, the servant was a changed man. He was overworked, grumpy, and blamed his family for not helping him make the 100th gold coin. And he had stopped singing while he worked. Witnessing this drastic transformation, the king was puzzled. The advisor said, "Your Majesty, the servant has now officially joined the 99 Club." He continued, "The 99 Club is a name given to those people who have enough to be happy but are never content, because they're always wanting to have that extra one," saying to themselves, "Let me get that one final thing and then I will be happy for life."
I'd like to read a poem that was written by actually a friend of mine from Middlesbrough, Andy Croft, from an anthology called Sticky. And this is called Supply and Demand. Oil is sold to the highest bidder, and everybody must have oil. If we gain control of the oil fields, we can set the price of a barrel. And everyone must pay for oil with dollars, while we can have cheap petrol for our cars. But what is oil, actually? If you think we don't know what oil is, this is our standard riposte. Of course we know what oil is, only we don't know its cost. Wars are won by the highest bidder, and no one can afford to lose. If we control the market in death, we can set the price of defeat. Then everyone must pay for our victory parade while we share out the spoils. But what is war, actually? If you think we don't know what war is, that is our standard riposte. Of course we know what war is, only we don't know its cost. Freedom goes to the highest bidder, and everybody wants to be free. If we gain control of the language, we can set the price of happiness. Then everyone must learn to pay for freedom, and we are free to do just as we please. But what is freedom, actually? If you think we don't know what freedom is, this is our standard riposte. Of course we know what freedom is, only we don't know its cost. The earth belongs to the highest bidder, and everybody must pay the earth. If we gain control of the whole world, we can set the price of everything. And everyone must learn to live off dirt while we enjoy the fruits of the earth. But what is the earth, actually? Do we know, do you know what the thing is called earth? Of course we know what the earth is, only we don't know its worth. Right, for this next part of this service, I'm going to use my two glamorous assistants who are actually twins, Poppy and Wilf, and they, as you can see, are holding a piece of string. Now what I want you to imagine is that this piece of string is your life, stretching as it does from here, birth, to here, sorry Wilf, your death. And we know when this is. In my case, the 21st of June 1963, which, to save you doing the quick maths, makes me 57, and I hope you're looking surprised. But we don't know when that is. And I'm kind of pleased about that. I'd hate to know when I'm going to die, although I know it's coming. So let's, for the sake of argument, say 83 years and 4 months, will that do? I mean, some of you have probably already passed that, but 83 years and 4 months. I picked that for a reason, by the way. 83 years and 4 months is very significant. It's not the average. It's not my father's age. It's extremely significant because, see if you can work it out, it's mathematical. 83 years and 4 months is exactly 1,000 months. That's how long you've got, if you live that long. So, we've lived quite a lot of this life. Some of us are probably further along this line than others, although we don't know who. So here we began. This is where we had our babyhood, our nappyhood, if you like. We kind of developed on from there. We went through our primary school years. Some of these people are still there. Get into secondary school years, the hormones, the pimples. Then you get to that key point in your life, late teens, early 20s. A lot starts to happen there. Somewhere in there was probably that night. I think we can all remember that night. I said this to one group of people and a bloke said to me, oh, it was you, was it? Anyway, we move along this line here and eventually we reach the most important moment in your life. Which is, can you think of that? The most important moment in your life. It's not the day you get married. It's not having kids. It's not getting a job. It's not the day you understand things. It's not there. No. But it's very particular and it's true for every single person. The most important moment in your life is right now. It's always true because it's the only moment you have any control over. All that's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. All that is to come, and there's not a lot you can do about that. You do a bit of preparation, worth writing a will, but mainly the only moment you've got any control over is this moment now. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of string, we've got a piece of string. I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut it. So I wonder if you could just come closer to each other. You come here because we need to get some balance on the scale. Hold it tight. So there we are. This is what we've got left. I've been generous. Some of us have probably got much less. I had a house tag last year, so I've probably got very little left. Anyway, here we are. This is what we've got left. And you think to yourself, I want to make the most of it. The problem is, you spend a third of it asleep. So that's gone. If you'd like to come closer, Poppy. And then you think, okay, well, that's good. Now, anyone who's ever worked with old people realises that probably the end of your life is rarely a bundle of laughs. So we're just going to cut that off because that's not going to be a lot of fun. So that will go there. And then there's all those days that you hate. And it varies from person to person what it is that we hate doing. I mean, I've got, these two are 2 of 6 children. I've got 6 children. So as you can imagine, the thing I hate doing most in the world is making packed lunches. I also quite detest gardening. In fact, I only garden for my neighbours. Because Christine always says to me, you can't leave the garden in that state. What would the neighbours say? And actually, but there's a little bit that neither neighbours can see, so I'm always tempted to leave that alone. So they're things I hate, and I spend quite a lot of time. I'd rather do nothing than the things that I hate doing. So I'm going to cut those off because they're kind of not much you can do about them. Quite a bit. There we are. We'll take that off there. You can get a bit close together. And then there's all the mundane stuff. You don't hate it, but it'd be better if you didn't have to do it. You just have to do it. You've got to cook, you've got to clean, but you've got to wash up, even if you've got a dishwasher. You've got to go on journeys. You've got to give people lifts to places. You've got to attend boring meetings. That's a big chunk of your life that you have no control over, and it's tedious. So I'm going to cut that off there. Okay. And then, of course, there's all the days that you're ill. When, you know, sore throat, headache, cancer, awful things when you're full of pain, rather not be there. So that's quite a bit. So we'll take that off there. And you two can sit down now if you want to sit down there. And that can feel like I started with that great big long piece of string and that's it. Of course, if you bought into what I said, what you bought into was the TGI Friday bit of string. You see, we can't do much about making the string longer. There are certain things we can do. We can stop smoking, eat better, sleep better. But essentially, the string is as long as the string is. But if you listen to me, every time I cut a piece off and said, oh, that's rubbish, that's rubbish, that's rubbish, and you bought it, then that's what life is like. So we can't make the string longer. What we can do is reclaim some of those that I took off. You've only got 83 years and 4 months. It's vital that we make the most of it. In my day job, I work for the NHS for our local mental health trust, Tees, Esk and Wear Valleys. When I take people about 12 times a year, I take sometimes patients, mainly staff, on non-religious retreats. And what I thought I'd do is give you a little bit of a hint of how we begin those retreats that aren't religious but get people thinking. I've already used my piece of string, but what I get people to think about is a kind of Buddhist idea really around the notion of desire. This idea that that we tell ourselves that we're miserable, but if we get what we want, we're going to be happy. It's a delusion and it's a lie. It kind of works like this. When I was a young man, I was a student for an awfully long time, as people can be. So I never had any money. And the only way I could get around the world to see friends or to go anywhere was to hitchhike. And I couldn't even afford buses. There was no mega buses for £1 in those days. And so I fantasized. I thought, what I need is a car. If I were to get a car, I would be happy. But I couldn't afford a car. Anyway, eventually, at the age of about 25, I think, I got my first car. Now, some of you would remember this. It was a 10-year-old Austin Allegro. And the first thing I learned about my 10-year-old Austin Allegro is it was not a babe magnet. And yeah, I came to see later on that the problem was never the car. And I'd always imagined that if I had a car, it would be a May evening and you'd be driving to a country pub somewhere. But actually I hadn't factored in the traffic jams, the expense, the fact that it was old, it was always conking out. And I thought to myself, I'd longed for a car for so long, but actually this is wrong. What I need is a better car. And so that thing started to happen, you know. So you started trading in cars for better cars, to better cars. And then when I started working for the NHS and I do a lot of miles, I got a lease car, which means for the first time ever, I had a brand new car. But every time I got a car, the joy that it was meant to bring didn't work, and I always wanted something else, something better. And I look back now, 30 years, and I think to myself, I enjoyed hitchhiking. It never brought me that happiness that I thought it would. And yet the whole world is predicated, the whole capitalist world, if you like, is predicated on the idea that you've got to have this to be happy. Look at the adverts. I mean, take adverts for, I don't know, washing powder. Now, washing powder does its job. Look, there we are, this shirt clean, doesn't smell yet. And it's washed with washing powder. But look at the adverts for washing powder. Everybody who uses those washing powders is so happy and beautiful usually. And they live in this happy world where breakfast cereals, people get up in the morning, they're not grumpy, they're cheering, eating their breakfast. They've never been to my house. But we're told if we get what we want, we're going to be happy. The one that always makes me laugh is when they're building new houses. Have you seen that? Not that there's going to be any planning restrictions on them now. You can have any house you want, any junk. But anyway, new houses. And outside the new houses, there's a fence. There's always a picture on the fence. Have you noticed? And there's a couple. And they're always drinking either black coffee or red wine. I think that's to do with the photo. And they're smiling and laughing. You know they're in love. And in the corner, there's a child very tidily playing with a very subdued, beautiful, tasteful toy. And they're selling this life. You move here, you're going to be happy. And we do it all the time. We do it with our holidays, don't we? I mean, it's one of the interesting things that's happened in lockdown is we can't go abroad. Because people are forever going for the holiday, the next holiday, the bigger holiday. When I was a kid, we went to Scotland, and then we went to Devon, and then we went to this amazing place called Abroad, which was camping in Brittany. And eventually people started going to the Mediterranean, didn't they? And they would report these wonderful sunshine, constant sunshine. And so I went to the Mediterranean, and I went probably every other year because I was a vicar and we got a charity to help us go on holiday. And I went every other year until I was sitting one day under a tree at Ibiza, and I realised I don't like hot weather. I mean, why would I live in the north of England if I liked hot weather? I can't function. I sit under trees. And yet I'd been telling myself I needed this. I mean, I love the sunshine, by the way. It's the heat I can't stand. But this is because they're trying to sell you this dream that if you get what you want, you're going to be happy. And it's not just stuff, is it? I mean, I suppose one of the desires we always have is sex, but it's this idea that we're going to meet someone who will make us happy. One day it'll happen. You fantasize, you're going to meet someone. I didn't know who I was going to meet. I kind of knew it would be a woman afterwards. I kind of knew as a child I was straight. But one day I was going to meet someone and they were going to make me happy. It's a lot of pressure to put on another human being. You know, I'm a very happily married man, but am I a fundamentally happier person? What have I ever got in my life that has made me happy? Well, I can only think of two things. Two things I've ever bought that have made me happy. One is a comfortable bed. I would say I used to sleep on something that the springs went into everywhere. And when I got a comfy bed, I was definitely happier. And the other, because my mother was stingy when I was little, is decent toilet paper. But with those two exceptions, I can't think of anything that I've ever bought that has made me happier. And yet I constantly buy this idea that I'm going to be happier. I run a retirement course. You would be amazed at how many people believe that when they retire, they're going to be happy. And yet the evidence is that retired people are more miserable than people who work. And the biggest predictor of whether you're going to be happy in retirement is were you happy at work. And yet we constantly do this. Now, this, of course, is what the Buddha was onto, really. The thing that makes us miserable is this stuff, wanting stuff. It is making you miserable, this belief you're going to get what you want, because it never happens and you never fulfill your desire. You're always hungry for more. And so the Buddha said, recognize what you have. And I suppose that's a lesson that I'm trying to learn in my own life. You know, okay, I don't have the perfect job. I don't have the perfect house, even though I tidied it up with this. I don't have the perfect family. And yet, I have a job. And actually, in these times, that's a glorious thing to have. And that provides me with enough money to put bread on the table. I live in a house that keeps me warm and dry. And I live with people who love me and who I love. Why do I desire any more than that? Now, there's nothing wrong with desire, the desire for justice, the desire for education. But to tell yourself that getting what you want is going to make you happy is the thing which is making you unhappy. Now, that is how I begin these non-religious retreats. And I've never put it on camera, and I just thought, I was asked again to share with you, Newcastle Unitarians, some thoughts, and I thought that might be a helpful way for us to think. At the end of all that, I just want to spend a few moments with thoughts, prayers, meditations, whatever it is you choose to call this. And I want to think about this desire that we have, this belief that if we get what we want, we're going to be happy, and the effect it's having on our world. Yes, well, I can have what I want, and people will supply it to me. And yet, I've just been on holiday. All that plastic on the beach, a microcosm of the effect of the polluted earth by everybody having what they want for the briefest of moments and then throwing it away. This belief that I need to have what I want could be destroying us all. So let us pause to think, what do we need? It's interesting, in the prayer that I'm going to end this with, the prayer of Jesus of Nazareth, we are simply bidden to ask for one thing for ourselves. Our daily bread, enough food for today. Not to win at anything, not to have money or wealth or riches, simply enough food for today. And if the world was filled with people content with just having enough for today, then maybe the planet could survive. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And so our service is more or less over. I simply thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts and some of the thoughts of my family with you. Hopefully one day soon we will be able to attend worship with you in Newcastle. But in the meantime, go on your way or stay where you are. But you may have a deep peace in your hearts, hope, and a sense of contentment with what you have, and not the desire to have more that is simply destructive of yourself and of the planet.